Happy 250 America. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast, live from Studio Z. We begin tonight in Washington, D.C., where the Great American State Fair being held on the National Mall was temporarily shut down this afternoon because it was so hot. The fair was back open to the public by 5 p.m. Eastern. Plus, the celebrations continue. President Trump is set to kick off Independence Day with a speech at Mount Rushmore tonight. You can catch that right here on Newsmax, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing all kinds of special coverage for America 250 as we head into the weekend. And a Dublin court ordered the release finally of an Irish teacher, Burke, from prison. He was arrested and jailed in 2022. Why? Because he refused to use a transgender student's preferred pronouns of they, them. He didn't comply with the court orders that further ordered him to do that. I bet he'd love a little First Amendment right now, but welcome back to society, man. Way to stay strong. We appreciate it. But first, America, Eagles, guns, steak, low-flying freedom Doritos dropping 20,000-pound bombs. Let's do this. America Day, baby! Since I won't get to be with you guys tomorrow on the 4th, consider this my tribute to America. A day brought to you by a bunch of ragtag farmers and settlers with guns that got tired of being taxed by someone who doesn't listen to them. Don't that sound familiar?
American courage won our independence. It liberated millions and millions from slavery, rescued billions from tyranny, and sustained American liberty for 2.5 centuries, and we're not going to lose it to this group of losers. Oh, can you imagine? Have you seen these people?
Yup. 250 years later, though, we have some of the same type of people representing us that we fought a war to get away from. High-tax people. Imagine the stakes. It was like a bunch of nobodies. Actually, you know, it's funny. George Washington was denied a commission in the British Army because they didn't think he was officer material. Yeah, how'd that one work out for you, Great Britain? All these people, they gathered in secret to plan a revolution against the British, the same British that tried to stop people from assembling in places like pubs and other public areas in an effort to stave off an organized rebellion. They even criminalized certain writing that was publicly distributed. This was the founding of our First Amendment. Guns were a requirement for every household in the colonies, mostly to stave off Indians, but as well as a commitment to being a trained militia, which proved pretty valuable in the Revolution, which gave us the Second Amendment. When Great Britain felt that they were losing hold on the colonies, they forced more soldiers over here, and in many cases, they forced colonists to house those soldiers at no, like they weren't being reimbursed for anything. So that was the Third Amendment, no quartering of soldiers in homes without consent. The same goes for the Fourth. British soldiers barged into places of worship, businesses, even homes, to search for people who they thought were not loyal to the crown, without a reason, without trial, without warrants, whatever. Sometimes they even hung people with no evidence or no trial, who they merely just suspected of disloyalty to the crown, which is why we instilled our Fifth Amendment, the right of the accused to have due process, as well as the Sixth Amendment, because sometimes they would just hold colonists without trial indefinitely. So we ensured in our Bill of Rights a right to a speedy trial. And when you had that trial, it was to be a jury of your peers, especially in civil cases. That was the Seventh Amendment. No excessive bail or cruel and unusual punishment, as was often the case for the colonists held by the British soldiers. That was the Eighth Amendment. And in an effort to restrict the growth of a central federal government like they saw with the crown across the Atlantic and protect the local sentiment of which the colonies were, the Founding Fathers said, anything not in this Constitution or Bill of Rights goes under the states. Yeah, I find our $7 trillion annual budget pretty insulting with the 10th Amendment. With all these agencies, they regulate everything the Founding Fathers sought to leave to the states. Men and even boys as young as 13 took on the world's most powerful military because they believed in this concept of this country. That's why I joined the military. And Great Britain, honestly, those guys, I don't know how they did it. They blew a 13-colony lead, and we came out on top, and we kicked their ass. It was great. But when I see people opposing these rights here today, whether it be the Second Amendment or the First Amendment or, oh, got to crack down on hate speech, these amendments, the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, written by men who lived it, who lived the deprivation of having these rights by a tyrannical monarch. They lived the consequences of a government not beholden to its citizens. They didn't just like come up with these things out of thin air. Like the Second Amendment wasn't written because of a bunch of boys, got back from a hunting trip. They just got done liberating a nation and they put that in there. The Bill of Rights was literally written to enable we the people to be able to do it all over again if our government did half the stuff they're doing to us today. And obviously for this, that should give you college credits for that. Like instant Ivy, but instead you have Ivy League grads now with like pro-Palestine do-rags and stuff, screaming at the sky, oh, we know better than the founding fathers. And they think, oh, we got to restrict hate speech. That's not free speech. And oh, we just stop gun ownership and have the government shove a leash up your rear end to monitor everything to make sure that you're doing whatever their liberal overlords think is the right thing on that day. A hard pass. Not in my country. And God forbid these people regain control of the Congress or Senate or even the White House. Again, this is why we have a Second Amendment. Everybody scoffs when you say that. Oh, how could you talk about revolution, Carl? That's literally what our founding fathers intended. They wanted our government afraid of us. They wanted to give us the ability to shoot people who try to take away those rights. And as far as I'm concerned, any government that tries to take away those rights, specifically your gun rights, is a government that's probably about to do something that you might like to shoot them over. Here we are 250 years later, and I still believe every word of our Declaration, our Constitution, and our Bill of Rights. It's actually amazing. Like the foresight that our founding fathers had, we are the greatest country in the world. Look, and I know what someone's saying, well, Carl, we may not have the highest test scores in like math or whatever. Okay, fine, China. We don't always have the highest IQ. I think it's Japan or India or something like that. We don't have the longest life expectancy. In fact, there's other countries that are number one on select issues, but we are still better than them because of our heart, because of our spirit, and our raw patriotism. By the way, that's called nationalism for you libs who think that's a bad thing. We are the greatest country in the world because there is no other place on earth where you can speak your mind, rise from nothing. Like, take Elon Musk. He is an African immigrant who came here and became the world's first trillionaire, and now he's landing like 25-story rockets into these colossal chopsticks to be reused. Never been done before. We split the atom, which made us back-to-back World War champions. And then 80 years later, the people we dropped it on, whose cities we turned into 6-foot thick sheets of glass, now they light up their cities with our colors on this day as a show of how much they respect us. We do flyovers at our sporting events because we invented flight. That we measure, by the way, in miles per hour because kilometers, not a thing. There's 5,280 feet in a mile, 12 inches in a foot, 4 quarts in a gallon, and water freezes at 32, not 0. By the way, and then we called that system the standard system because we have 11 aircraft carriers and we can, and not a single country on Earth challenged us. And here we are, about to advance even further than probably ever before in soccer, a sport that we don't even care about. We call our NFL the world champions after the Super Bowl because nobody even bothers to compete with us. We beat Canada in hockey. Our Florida team last year, that doesn't even have ice in that state. And 2 American teams this time around competed for first place. Canada wasn't even the final draw. One from a desert state, by the way. The other one from a summer vacation state. We have 3 times as many gold medals of any other country combined. We discovered electricity, we built the internet, the light bulb, GPS, personal computers, the telephone. We invented the assembly line. Hell, we invented the sliced bread machine. We invented soda and blue jeans and pioneered jazz and rock and roll and, I guess, begrudgingly hip-hop. But if something moves on this planet, some American somewhere, probably a redneck, figured out a way to race that thing. Look at that. That's awesome. We do stuff and build things at a scale that the European mind can't even comprehend. That's what makes us the best. I'll never apologize for that. I'll always celebrate that. And I'll always salute that flag that stands for that. And anybody who wants to burn, spit on, disrespect, or hate that flag, gotta come through me. Today, tomorrow, Hell, every day of the year is the best day to be a red, white, and blue-blooded, flag-loving, meat-eating, God-fearing, gun-owning, eagle-riding, unapologetic, kick-ass American. Who wouldn't want to celebrate that today? Other than, I don't know, like 40% of the country on the left. But I'd ask this today. As you raise that flag and salute the red, white, and blue, remember it came at a cost. Took a lot to get here. I know the cost that I paid is far less than a lot of other people out there, but I'd do it all over again because it's damn worth it. So, happy birthday, America. Fellow team guy and chief talent officer at Overwatch Mission Critical, Mike Sarraille, and U.S. Army Combat and Purple Heart recipient, Teddy Daniels. All right, Teddy, I mean, look, you took one in the leg for this country. What's this day mean to you?
Well, let me tell you, P. McCree Thornton said once, for those who fought for it, freedom has a flavor that the protected will never know. Brother, let me tell you, what kept us together downrange was that flag on that outpost. And you were fighting for something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike, what about you?
God, the amount of sacrifice to get us here to 250, guys. I mean, what, over 1 million soldiers died in combat? Think about the millions that were built or died, gave their lives building this nation. We've inherited the greatest gift, and our government is an experiment. And at the end of the day, this experiment has succeeded. But what fears me is, how do we secure another 250? How do we stop making virtues of the past, virtues of now, like loving liberty and sacrifice, and just the thing that we're missing, hard work.
Yeah, I mean, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction, I'll tell you that. But, you know, Teddy, I look at this stuff and we're celebrating all these things. Ma'am Danny goes and gives an address behind George Washington's desk. Listen to this.
America, in their view, is an arena of supremacy, where only a select few are allowed freedom, where not all are created equal. The rest of us, they insist, should be grateful for merely being allowed to visit. How small they are, how weak, how unoriginal.
I think that's the first time, Teddy, I've ever seen him standing next to an American flag, even though they're small.
You know what, Carl? You know, this country will not be defeated by an outside enemy. It'll never happen. Yeah. And the enemy isn't at the gate. It's in. It's here. And what you just saw was proof of it. We have people in office that hate America, that hate it. Like, our founding fathers must be rolling in their freaking graves right now, brother.
Yeah. Mike, this is another thing that happened today, which is, I can't say how more appropriate it is. All active duty branches have now, as of today, hit their goals, their recruiting goals for the entire year, by the way. Army is at 101%, Navy 108%, Air Force 100%, Marine Corps 100%, Space Force 102%. Middle of the year.
I'll tell you what, the credit goes to Trump, this administration, and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is no doubt about it. You had a previous administration that wanted to push DEI, transgenderism, and any other woke ideology that they had at the time. And I'm going to tell you, kids don't want to sign up for that. They don't want to go through an HR seminar while being in a foxhole. You've got a president and a secretary of who speak about words like warrior ethos and discipline and accountability. And young men and women see the purpose behind that. They join something to be part of something bigger than themselves. And for the first time, we have pride and purpose back in uniform. And young men and young women want to be a part of that. And that's the reason that those numbers are back up, is that the military is about validating.
Well, but Mike, the other thing, Americans, 46% of Americans right now don't even know what 250 commemorates. 86% only 86% are grateful to be American, 79% proud. What the heck is going on in our educational system? Mike?
We need to take that back to Teddy's point. Hey, the biggest threat is within, and the Democrats have played a slow, sly game here, taking back education. It's time we take back, don't focus on the nation, take back the attorney offices, take back the school boards, because I'm telling you, the scarier statistic is 26% of Democrats are only proud of this country. That is a threat from within. Everyone who is born in America is born with a silver spoon. You have access to opportunity. What I think we've lost sight of is it takes hard work to actually achieve the American dream. Everyone just wants a handout now, and that's what has to change.
People don't like that. Hey, Teddy, you were up here last weekend up at Studio Z with me, and we shot this Voices of Valor. This is the 3rd annual one. You were part of it. Let's take a sneak peek real quick. Yo, we are gonna air that, Teddy. That was a fun weekend, dude.
Brother, that was absolutely amazing. The best time, I gotta say, I've had in a very long time, man. And the hospitality, brother, was second to none, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, no, I tell you, that's the one rule up here, Mike. And we invited you, but you were busy winning at something else. It was, nobody goes hungry up here. That's the one rule.
No.
I was in London. And I'm going to tell you, I've not
so you
been
weren't
to
winning.
decades, and London and the UK suck. I'm never going back there. I trust.
I could have told you that. You didn't have to go there. Yeah, no, it would have been great. All right, so that's going to start airing on Monday, and we're going to have a segment every single day next week. Teddy, Mike, we appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Happy 4th.
You as well. All right, coming up, this is actually a horrible story out of Florida where a veteran was shot and killed by a black woman over a parking spot dispute. Is this really like what we're getting to as a country? I'm going to give you my thoughts later on that in the show. But first, DHS quietly releasing a report on the failures of the Secret Service at Trump's Butler rally assassination attempt back in 2024. Wait till you hear all the things that security agents just completely missed. Judicial Watch attorney Christina Bobb sounds off on that next.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
You know the Founding Fathers. But do you know your founding family? Learn how their stories became yours. Get started today before our sale ends.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Feeling winded and short of breath when you should be enjoying life? Your days are made for more than this. And if you find yourself stopping more and more to catch your breath, you could be experiencing what we call temporary oxygen insufficiency. Don't let shortness of breath ruin your day. Give yourself a boost with Boost Oxygen. A few deep breaths of Boost Oxygen is all you need to help combat the negative effects of what we call temporary oxygen insufficiency, so you can get back to doing the things you love. Boost Oxygen contains pure supplemental oxygen that is safe for daily use and comes in a portable, lightweight canister without a prescription.
Now I live life on my terms. With Boost Oxygen, I am unstoppable.
Get all-natural 5-star respiratory support with Boost Oxygen. Get Boost Oxygen at these fine retailers.
All right, moments ago, President Trump boarded Air Force One, the new one, and took off for a speech tonight at Mount Rushmore. Going to be a heck of a trip and a serious party out there. All right, so the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General's office released, actually they did it pretty quietly, which was weird to me, but they highlighted the failures and missed opportunities of the Secret Service regarding the attempted assassination of Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania back in 2024. Now, the IG finding the Secret Service failed to detect Thomas Crooks's drone flight due to an undertrained operator and equipment malfunction, failed to warn Trump's detail that Crooks had a rangefinder, long gun, and had climbed on top of the roof of a nearby building because the Secret Service did not establish a joint communications room with local law enforcement, which we knew, failed to share intel about a long-distance threat to Trump with the Pittsburgh field office, resulting in insufficient personnel for the event, failed to secure the area outside the perimeter despite the Pennsylvania State Police sharing its plan with the Secret Service that showed this area would be unsecure, and failed to use available resources to block the line of sight to Trump from the building where Crooks took his shot, despite identifying this line of sight as, again, a concern. With all these failures, it really is a gift from God that Trump was not killed that day. Attorney at Judicial Watch and author of the fantastic book, Defiant, Christina Bobb, who just got done hosting the 5 p.m. show here on Newsmax. All right, Christina, this seems like a lot of mistakes. Who's getting fired?
Yeah, I mean, the report would have been shorter if they had actually listed what they did correctly. That's the problem, is there were so many systemic errors that it's hard to point at one single thing. And so you got to, honestly, I take a holistic look at this and say, did they really miss the training? I mean, if they're Googling, and this is what the report says, they're actually Googling where that shed was using Google Maps to try to figure out where the shooter was before and then during when the shots rang out. So it's just really basic stuff. They missed the mark across the board. So I think certainly training is an issue, and then they need to go back and just look at leadership and figure out why didn't the leadership have this buttoned up and tight.
No, that's actually crazy. Like, I have more advanced apps for hunting than they were using to secure this. It's
That's not an
unbelievable.
exaggeration.
Anyway, here's
That's
another.
accurate.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I use Onyx for all my hunting stuff, and I have actually showed Secret Service agents that they're like, wow, we're not trained on anything like this. I'm like, it's an app. You know. Anyway, there's another big story from the Trump administration's investigation into the 2020 election. Oh, weird. Now the FBI reportedly assigned 260 analysts to complete 708 record checks back in January. The FBI, obviously, you remember, seized more than 600 boxes of election material from Fulton County. They sued, tried to get it back. They lost that suit, including the 2020 ballots. What is going to happen here?
You know, I feel like it's probably going to fall apart. And I hate saying that as someone who was on the ground in 2020 in all of these states investigating, doing reports and all that. It just seems like they can't quite get ahead on this. So obviously, I want something to come out to show either exactly what happened or show definitively, you know, where there were specific errors, because those ballots have been there in Georgia since 2020. Georgia's the only state that had a preservation order from a court. So let's just see, are those legitimate ballots? Are they duplicates? Did they properly have, you know, the bifurcations, the folds? All of those questions that people were asking, just answer those. You know, just put that out there. And we haven't seen that come out yet. So I don't know if they can quite get their feet under them on this one.
Yeah, after being indicted yourself, you've kind of lost a little bit of faith in some of the system, may I say. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. This is a new report from the New York Post. The FBI brought down people in Gavin, or are bringing down people in Gavin Newsom's inner circle by convincing one of his senior people to wear a wire. Democrat insider Alexis Podesta recorded conversations as far back as 2024 with Newsom's former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, who has since pled guilty to federal fraud and tax charges, which in my experience, those are usually like pled down sort of things. So what do you think is going on here, and what's more to come?
Well, just as a criminal defendant myself, this was really shocking to me. And it goes to show how political the criminal justice system has become and is becoming. Obviously, political figures who commit fraud and tax evasion and all of that need to be held accountable. The idea that your close allies are wearing wires is particularly shocking to me. And, you know, of course, there's always concerns of who can you trust. The adage in D.C. is trust nobody. But, you know, this was very shocking to me that these are the steps that we've taken in this investigation.
Yeah, well, that's why you get a dog, so you have a friend in D.C.
Exactly.
Christina,
I did get one.
I'll never wear a wire for you. I'm actually wearing one right now, but I'll never wear one undercover. Yeah, exactly. All right, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Happy 250.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay, so we actually asked Americans across the country last night on this show to show us their flags. Here's one from Michael and Teresa in Hawaii. I didn't know they let you fly that out there. They said, "Aloha, Carl. We love Newsmax and your show. Thank you for your service to our great country. Please keep fighting the good fight. Yes, we live in Hawaii and pray for our country daily. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you watching." All right, be sure to show us your flag. Email us your favorite photo at ourflag@newsmax.com. Maybe it'll end up on the show. And speaking of the flag, one country star is celebrating America 250 with an important message about respecting the old glory. Country music star Chris Janson going to join me live next.
Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way.
He's back. President Trump mounted a stunning comeback to take back the White House. Even in real danger, he never lost his sense of humor. Watch The Comeback.
She's cleaning the shower. They're cleaning the shower. Doesn't look like it, right? Wet and Forget Shower does all the work for you. Wet and Forget is the once-a-week shower cleaner that lets you go live life. Rinsing? Forget it. Scrubbing? Forget it. There's a reason Wet and Forget Shower has over 40,000 5-star reviews. Wet and Forget Shower is a bleach-free, quick and easy once-a-week spray that goes to work on contact, giving you back what matters most, your free time. Don't forget to get yours at a retailer near you.
It's me, Ricky. You grew up with me. I am using Fatty 15 to get me to feel and look the best I've ever felt at my age. The C15 nutrient has been known to strengthen our cells and slow the aging process at a cellular level. I urge you to try Fatty 15.
Where's my mother gonna... Oh, no. Is this the episode with the breakup? Reba, we can't agree on the house. Y'all need Realtor.com. With over 500,000 new listings every month, you could find the one today. This could be it. Better put a key ring on it. Realtor.com.
There are only a few men I'd trust with my life. 2 of them built this wallet. I've known the guys behind Proof for nearly 20 years, and we've been through hell and back together. When they told me they were building the wallet, I just said, "Bill me now, I'm in." This isn't some fashion piece. This isn't just some trend. These wallets are a direct reflection of the kind of men who built it. It's built to last, built to function, and designed to carry everything you need and more. If anything happens to it, they'll take care of it. No questions, no fine print. If you knew the guys who created this wallet, you wouldn't carry anything else. Go check them out, because they built this thing right.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
If you know luxury, it's not just award-winning, it's rewarding. Sattva mattresses support all types of sleepers with durable steel coils and plush organic cotton. Sattva luxury mattresses are handcrafted and assembled in American factories using globally sourced premium materials and brought directly to you with our complimentary in-home delivery and setup service. Sattva, luxury mattresses made affordable.
Free yourself from prying eyes. Ask privately with Duck.ai. Visit Duck.ai to chat privately with ChatGPT, Claude, and other AIs for free, all in one place. Duck.ai is from DuckDuckGo, where AI is private and optional.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Here's something lost on the entire Democrat Party. Honor and respect, 2 things that every American should have for their country's flag. Country music singer Chris Janson sharing a powerful message about our flag as we gear up to celebrate America's 250. He says he hopes his kids respect the flag, honor our country, and be proud of where they came from. Please open a school. I mean, like, seriously, open one up. He also said he learned early respect for the old glory at the and all those standards all when he was young. Check out this clip from one of his hit songs, This Flag, recently.
It stands for what's right. It stands for the free. It stands for every small town kid who ever had a dream. All the
Well, here he is, Chris Janson, the country music star himself. Sir, you know, I appreciate you joining us on this time. You're wearing my favorite Ammunition Depot hat. So tell us more about the moments that, you know, kind of taught you to respect this thing, and how do we get more people like that?
Well, thank you, sir, and it's a pleasure to be with you, and I want to thank you for your service for our country, first and foremost, and got so much respect for you being a SEAL. It's just amazing. You're top tier, and we got so much love for you. Man, here's how I think we change the narrative in this country. We are in the greatest country. If we're in America, we're in the greatest already. So we have the opportunity of freedom. We have the opportunity of faith. We have the opportunity to have passion, be who we want to be, say what we want to say. We have all these great amendments in our Constitution. And I think that we need to walk it like we talk it. We need to show by example, just like people when they speak about their faith, they always say walk and show by example. With patriotism, it's the same thing. If it weren't for my teacher in the 4th grade giving me the duties of taking up the flag and taking down the flag, here's how I learned patriotism was important. He was a veteran himself. I didn't know that in the 4th grade. I put the flag around my shoulders, you know, being king of the castle in the yard of the school. And I will never forget him coming out there, pointing his finger at my nose and saying, do not ever let that drop and hit the ground ever again. And I got in trouble, and it taught me from that moment on, you better respect this flag. And you know what? I've been around the world, and I would vouch to say you probably have too. You've seen some pretty incredible places. But I'll tell you, there's nothing like
some
the
not so
freedom
incredible.
that we have here. Well, exactly. But there's nothing like the freedom that we have here. And I try to impress that upon my kids. And, you know, I'm a faith first, God, family, country guy. But when asked about patriotism, it's very simple. This American flag represents the land of the free and the home of the brave, just like we're showing in the clips here. And by the way, you are one of those. You are one of the brave who have provided the luxury for the land of the free to citizens like myself. And I just think it's important. It's an easy thing to do. It's easy to be nice to people. It's easy to treat people as you want to be treated. And it's easy to support your country. If you go anywhere else in the world, the first thing you see when you land is their flag and people supporting their country. So in America, this is a great time to relearn. If you haven't yet, it's a great time to relearn and get schooled on it. This is the 250th year of a strong country and a great nation.
Well, you know, I love the fact that you're actually teaching this and you're preaching it too. But we've got like a post office in California. This is a post office, shocker, caught flying the American flag upside down. And I'm like, somebody needs to get fired for this.
Well, you know, here's the beauty of America. Let me say this first. I don't agree with that photo, and I hate to see it. But the beauty about America is we do have the freedom of all expressions, choice, speech, all the things. That's the beauty of the Constitution.
Fair.
So everybody, I'm two-sided on the fact that I support having the ideals and the expression and the freedom to do so. But when you're in this country, we outweigh that. People who love this
Chris,
flag outweigh that. And again, you can't blame people if they don't know. So we have to teach them by example. And unfortunately, some of that's been lost on us in later years, and we have to bring that back. I feel very passionate about it.
Yeah, real quick, you got a giveaway coming up. I got 10 seconds for you. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so Craven Flavor is one of my sponsors, Bass Pro, of course, but Craven Flavor and I are giving a hometown hero, a hometown everyday American package away. Go to my website, my Instagram, The Chris Janson, and nominate it, tag Craven Flavor, and tag the person you think is deserving of some groceries, a gift card, some free bags of groceries. We're just trying to loosen the weight on some Americans.
I love that, man. I love that. Chris, we appreciate you doing what you're doing, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. And speaking of the flag, we asked Americans, like we just said, across the country to show us their flags. So let's pull up another one here from Bob Kiroak, something from Bradley, Illinois, okay? That is a pretty awesome setup. Happy 4th, Bob. We appreciate it. Be sure to show us your flag. Email us your photo, our flag at newsmax.com. You might end up here. We got one more of these in the show, by the way. Coming up, you can always count on the extreme leftists to try to ruin the 4th of July, but we won't let them. Culture Clash next. We're going to live it up at Mount Rushmore, too, when that happens, when Trump gets there.
Newsmax.
Shoots it straight. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people. But the food crisis is growing for Jewish families and especially for the elderly.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25 a month, you can help rush an emergency food box each month to a Jewish family or elderly person in Ukraine. So many are frightened and urgently in need of food. Call or go online now to join the Box a Month Club.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 each month will help feed an elderly Jew or family in Ukraine in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online now and say you'll help provide an emergency food box each month.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Please don't delay your life-saving help today.
Where's the admission desk at your hospital? You may need it sooner than you think. It's the middle of the night and you, your spouse, or your child is sick, high fever, can't keep anything down, and getting worse. Now you're waiting in the ER, and everyone gets seen before you. And when I finally see you and order prescriptions, you still have to wait for your pharmacy to open and hope they have what I prescribed. This is the medical emergency kit. It's stocked with essential medications, including amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak, and ivermectin. Now you have the right medications when you need them. And it's why I and so many of my colleagues have medical emergency kits. It's like having an urgent care and pharmacy in your home. Just fill out a brief online medical intake and your kit, prescribed by a licensed provider, is shipped to your door. Here's how to order.
Order your kit now and save $45. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news. That's urgentcarekit.com/news.
I am naturally biased because I just joined Ridge as the chief creative partner, but I'm just going to speak facts here. It's slim, it's RFID blocking, it's awesome, it's comfortable, I love it. I carry it every day. And then every wallet at ridge.com has like an unlimited lifetime warranty, so you don't have to worry about it falling apart. Check it out at ridge.com.
The anti-American Democrats are pretty much doing everything they can to not celebrate the 4th of July. Then go to work. I don't care, all right? They're going as far as organizing an anti-American riot, of course in Portland, telling people to meet at the Thompson Elk statue, which was recently restored years after Antifa burned it down and damaged it in 2022. How do you be against an elk statue? Okay, again, if you don't love this country, there's the door. I'll buy your plane ticket out of here. It doesn't stop there, actually. The mayor of Brockton, Massachusetts, back on the East Coast, decided to just cancel fireworks celebrations. Residents actually are pretty PO'd about it.
You lied to us. You told us we were going to have a big celebration on July 4th here at City Hall, fireworks and everything, and now we're down to a 1-hour social ice cream thing. Flag raising.
1 hour.
Unbelievable. 250 years.
Ice cream. Our senior research analyst for the Media Research Center, Bill D'Agostino, and Newsmax contributor and host of The Amy Robbins Show, Amy Robbins herself. All right. I mean, Bill, first off, I think it's funny when people yell in a Boston accent, but you can't cancel people's fireworks.
Yeah, I love that woman. She makes the whole clip for me, for sure. But look, I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything without any information. But if I were a completely anti-America leftist mayor who also felt like embezzling some funds, I would probably embezzle funds from the fireworks celebration. that's just me personally giving advice to anybody who's looking for some embezzlement to do. But not actually, don't do that. But
from my financial advisor, of course.
Yeah, that's my take. I certainly don't have any evidence that this guy did that, but that's the flag that goes up in my head when I see something like that.
Correct. All right, Amy, here's another one. Welcome to LA, I guess, where you can rent out a cheap apartment, but the catch is you got to have the HIV. All right. This ad literally says, quote, must be 18 years of age or older and have acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, aka AIDS, or human immunodeficiency virus, which is HIV. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, let's just call this what this is, Carl. This is taxpayer-funded, HUD-approved discrimination. I mean, look, there are millions of hardworking California families that are going out there every single day, and they cannot afford their rent. So this is not compassion. This is discrimination. And Californians love to tout that, equality under the law. Well, apparently that doesn't work when you're healthy.
Yeah. Weird. It's so interesting to me. I don't know. But I mean, there might be a lawsuit here. Anyway, the WNBA, Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White, delivers this super, Bill, this was so strange to me. Super bizarre statement defending Alyssa Thompson, which is the opponent who violently assaulted Caitlin Clark on the court. Watch this.
First and foremost, it's absolutely unacceptable. I think as a league, as a whole, there's been so much more toxicity, racism, homophobia, straight out nonsense, hate nonsense.
But there isn't. We just don't like thugs pushing around what is the best and most notable player in the network, in the whole thing right now.
Right. Yeah. So two possibilities spring to mind when I see that kind of speech being given by somebody who's supposed to be standing up for Caitlin Clark, right? Supposed to be an advocate for her. Right. I think either duress, right? Like somebody in the league, somebody significantly above her says, okay, listen, you have to tamp down on this because we can't have people flipping out about this league incident. Or she is just so genuinely, thoroughly indoctrinated with this self-flagellating, self-hating white ideology that she is siding with a player on another team for being a minority and assaulting a white woman on her team. It's one of the two, and I don't know which one's worse, frankly.
But the problem is nobody brings race into it except for the people who are claiming to be discriminated against that are actually the ones discriminated against. The minority in the WNBA is white people. It's just like LeBron James, Amy. He's leaving the Lakers. So Stephen A. Smith is super mad about the new racial makeup of the team. Just watch this.
Where the hell the Los Angeles Lakers think they going with a bunch of white dudes? Your three top players are white dudes? Really? This ain't golf? This ain't baseball. Hell, it ain't even soccer. What y'all think this is? It's basketball. In NBA history, when have you seen your three most prominent players on a basketball team all be white?
Amy, I don't really care. I occasionally watch the NFL. I don't care that it's staffed. I think it's 77% black people. I just root for the team that I like, which is the Jets that always suck.
Right. Look, at this point, I feel like Stephen Smith's mask is off. This is a guy who loves to obsess about diversity, a league that loves to obsess about diversity, until the scoreboard is involved. So I kind of find this comment very offensive, because could you imagine if this comment was about any other race? People would just be completely outraged. But here we are. Yeah. This is kind of where we find ourselves. And it's not very progressive to judge athletes based on their skin color instead of their talent, Carl.
Yeah, weird. The content of your character. Anyway, Bill, Amy, we appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
All right, coming up, an incredibly sad story out of Florida. This turned another Carmelo Anthony case, probably. It's going to be insane to see how this plays out. Next.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. Samaritan's Purse is responding to the deadly earthquakes that struck Venezuela on the 24th of June. Two back-to-back earthquakes. Hundreds and thousands of people have been injured. Thousands of people are missing. The people are hurting. Samaritan's Purse has taken a field hospital. We've got doctors and nurses, and we're responding right now to the people that have lost so much. We've taken water purification. We've taken solar lights, a lot of things. We need your prayers and we need your help. God bless you.
I'm Mr. H. We do not sell Amino 150 on eBay. There's more than 240 counterfeiters offering bogus Amino 150 on eBay. They copied our bottle label, even our website. None of it contains the 70 minerals that made Amino 150 famous. Now, do not purchase on eBay if you want Amino 150 instead of something that may contain talcum powder, baking flour, or ground up dirt. Zero nutritional value. Now, we do sell on Amazon, but be careful because some counterfeiters come on there too. The counterfeit websites look just exactly like ours, so to be safe, I suggest you scan the QR code on the screen or call our toll-free number. Do this so that you can be guaranteed that you're getting the original Amino 150 that contains 70 plant-derived minerals instead of talcum powder or dirt. Thank you, and God bless.
It was supposed to be the perfect gateway. Instead, it became an open door for cyber criminals. But that threat stops right here. Built by Americans for America. PC-Matic defends our homes, our businesses, and our government. Don't let them compromise your identity. Get our all-in-one solution today. Visit PCMatic.com.
There are only a few men I'd trust with my life. Two of them built this wallet. I've known the guys behind Proof for nearly 20 years, and we've been through hell and back together. When they told me they were building the wallet, I just said, bill me now, I'm in. This isn't some fashion piece. This isn't just some trend. These wallets are a direct reflection of the kind of men who built it. It's built to last, built to function, and designed to carry everything you need and more. If anything happens to it, they'll take care of it. No questions, no fine print. If you knew the guys who created this wallet, you wouldn't carry anything else. Go check them out, because they built this thing right.
The Dutton Ranch. We're back in business.
You heard right. Let's go to work. I'm glad you're making friends, honey.
You're every bit as advertised.
You're damn right he is.
Fighting a good fight, buddy.
Look, I hate to be the bearer of news like this on America's birthday or the day before, but I cannot let this go unanswered. Yesterday, a black woman decided to get out of her car brandishing a firearm over a parking spot with a veteran. I mean, this veteran appeared to be unarmed. She shot him and he died. Now, she's claiming self-defense, much like Carmela Anthony, who was just convicted of murder, thankfully. So I'm hoping she meets the same fate. To be fair, I want to watch this entire video, let you be the judge with my commentary. So she gets out of her car. She gets out of her car with her firearm, okay? He follows her. Not great. Well, there's the shooting. But she also follows him. They did a number of circles around different cars where she came after him as well. He came back. She came back. Was it advised? No, not really. But he's clearly not holding a weapon. His hands are where she can see them. They're up right there. So what do you do? I mean, let's reverse the roles here, though. You know, like Florida does have strong stand your ground laws. But let's reverse those roles and say that was a white veteran that had shot a black woman in the exact same scenario. Even if it was legitimate self-defense, he would have had riots. Like after George Floyd and Michael Brown. Look, I'm going to say something controversial because that's just what we do here every night. But this is why everybody should carry a gun. Guaranteed a veteran could get a shot off faster than she did. I don't want a gunfight in a parking lot. But that's why you carry a gun, because this crazy woman, over a parking spot dispute, got out of her car, brandishing a firearm, which is against the law, which escalated the situation. And again, Florida has the stand your ground laws, and it was probably stupid that they were both screaming at each other. If somebody pointed a gun at me, I certainly wouldn't stay there for very long, but he did. Yeah, I mean, like, he's not being aggressive. He maintained 10 feet away from her at all times, but like the second I saw her out of her car, like I would have drawn my weapon. But white people aren't rioting now because a black person shot a veteran. I want to point that out. I should say another black person killed a white person, because it's far more prevalent that a black person kills a white person, despite the fact that we have this social justice movement that somehow thinks that blacks are frequent victims of white crime, which they're not. In fact, black people kill other black people at a rate almost 20 times higher than white people do. This is a cultural failure. If the race roles were reversed, I would say the same thing, by the way. But this is the selective racial allegiance we see in America today. Trayvon Martin, you see on your screen right there. Poor innocent child, according to the media. They put up pictures of him from like 5 years ago to make him look younger. They just did the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. They did the same thing with Michael Brown as well. Every media report on the left just conveniently forgot to mention that he charged the police after robbing a convenience store and tried to grab the officer's gun. I mean, this is the stuff. And then we heard years of chants yelling, "Oh, hands up, don't shoot," when he never did anything like that. This is my problem with these things. There's no accountability in our culture for our legal system quite often gets it right, but there is no accountability in the culture that would make somebody think that this wasn't okay in the first place. That's why we keep having these incidents, folks. I would like to see the footage, like the zoomed out footage from the parking lot before that led to this dispute while they were both still in their cars, because that's really the only way we can figure out what happened here. But I can say I've carried a gun basically every day for the last 20 years. I've been involved in multiple road arguments with people who are, driving like an idiot, and but never drawn my gun on any of them over it. I've even had on occasion where somebody was screaming at me in a parking lot, being very aggressive. I didn't shoot them. I didn't even draw my gun. We need to address the type of culture that has led to this type of behavior, because she showed almost no remorse. You can go back and watch the full video on the internet. No remorse. She started yelling at him after she shot him. Either way. Either way. 2 lives ended. His and now probably hers, because she'll probably spend a long time in jail. It really, to me, this comes down to the value of life. I think the value of life in America, no matter what color your skin is, has just been completely devalued. And that's a real problem. That's a real problem that people think so little. I mean, like the fact that she stood there screaming at this person after she shot him, okay? It's just unbelievable. And call it whatever you want, but it's a culture problem we have here in America. Don't shoot people in parking lots. By the way, folks, we asked all you Americans we told you about to show us your flags from across the country. Here's one from Kenny Raby in Ledbetter, Kentucky. Loving that warning sign on the back of his car right there. Yeah, I have one of those. Warning, I'm a bitter gun owner clinging to my religion. I also have them all around my property. If you enter this property, you'll be shot. So, amen, brother. We appreciate that one. Happy 4th. Be sure to show us your flags. Email us your favorite photo at ourflag@newsmax.com. Before we go, folks, you cannot out-America me. Even AI knows it. Deets next.
Messy happens. When it does, there's HomeAglow. For just $19, HomeAglow will clean your entire house. Everything from dishes to vacuuming, even laundry. Join thousands of Americans and book your first cleaning today for just $19.
Yes, I actually won!
See this? It just arrived from Deal Dash, a Nintendo Switch 2.
Look what I just won. I love Deal Dash.
With millions of auctions, you too can start winning, like this.
I got this amazing Japanese knife set for just 75 cents.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
And today, new users get a $50 bonus credit. Go to DealDash.com right now for huge savings.
And free shipping from our U.S. warehouses.
I am naturally biased because I just joined Ridge as the chief creative partner, but I'm just going to speak facts here. It's slim, it's RFID blocking, it's awesome, it's comfortable, I love it. I carry it every day. And then every wallet at Ridge.com has like an unlimited lifetime warranty, so you don't have to worry about it falling apart. Check it out at Ridge.com.
You know the Founding Fathers, but do you know your founding family? Now it's up to you to find their stories. Do you know how they found their way? Or how they found each other? And how their stories became yours? With the most historical records available anywhere, whose story can we help you find? This 4th of July, find your founding family at Ancestry.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
What if losing a pair of sunglasses was actually fine? That's why we built Shady Rays. Every pair of Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection, but no matter what happens, whether you drop them in the lake, a wave gets them, they're covered with lost and broken protection.
You can't find a ranch style with a view.
And a mom-in-law suite.
More realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. With their expert new search tool, just search it like you'd say it.
Room for mom.
And Reba. Make it real with Realtor.com.
You thought you were booking a relaxing vacation, but hackers just booked a ticket into your private life. Your passport, your birth date, your identity exposed. PCmatic, cybersecurity built by Americans for America.
All right, so you know how we have to book guests on this show and stuff like that. So we're just brainstorming the most patriotic people we knew, trying to find like the best person to come on and respond to some of the America segments that we were talking about today. And one of my producers, Kira, goes on to Grok and says, hey, who would be the best patriot to have on this show? You know, just for fun. Like, who's the most eagle person we got? So we asked. She types in to Grok, the XAI, who is the ultimate straight-shooting America first, to the core, zero BS, defender of our borders, freedoms, and who'd deliver the most explosive hell yeah America to have on Newsmax? And the answer, probably is not going to surprise anybody who watches this show, but Grok said, me! Carl Higbie is the ultimate answer to that question. And it went on to explain why. Put him in primetime with eagles screaming in the background, flags waving, and that explosive hell yeah energy. He'll deliver raw, unfiltered, patriotic fire that rallies the base and triggers the right people. You can't out America me isn't just a slogan for him, it's a brand. If you're looking to book a guest, he's already the guy owning that lane. Not bad for some robots. I mean, seriously, I am hype about this. All right, I'm still ready to fight the robots when they try to take over. I think 2029 is what Terminator told us, so whatever. Anyway, happy birthday, America. Be safe. Don't blow your hands off. Rob Schmidt tonight, up next. Appreciate it, guys.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.